Mal Carter didn't matter if you crashed every race as long as you pushed as hard as you think you could. Wednesday were Mallory, Cadwell Thursday, so hence I got through a lot of jobs. At the time it was the gas board. They tend to lost a bit out of the vans most nights. And he went out and the third lap, with no setup on it, no nothing, he broke the lap record. I went, what? He says, you was a millionaire. I says, it's but then you fell off.
Hello and welcome to this week's show, proudly sponsored by ZeroFit, the king of base layers. Before we get started, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We've got so much great content coming your way over the next few weeks, and we've got an amazing opportunity that's been afforded to us from the channel's growth over the last 12 months. And that's down to you, our great viewers and subscribers. So make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss anything. And we'll share with you over the next couple of days just what that opportunity is. Our guest this week needs no introduction. A former TT Formula One world champion, multiple Macau winner, successful Grand Prix racer, multiple British champion, TT winner, and owner of the most successful race school the country's ever seen. That's Ron Haslam. This is Off Track, the motorcycle racing podcast.
Ron Haslam, welcome to Off Track. What an absolute privilege. So good to see you. How are you?
Yeah, really good, thank you. Yeah, busy as ever, but yeah, good.
You don't stop?
No, it's obviously on, sort of keeps me going now with all this team and that stuff, so quite busy with that side, yeah.
And this beautiful museum that's always a privilege to sit in and do these chats. I can't tell you the amount of history, well, you know it, it's yours, but the amount of history that's in here is just mind-boggling.
Yeah, that's all to do with my wife, Ann. She decided to do it. We got all this piled up in a big heap, and she's turned it into this. Obviously, we did all the building work and that, but she was the push forward for that.
For what we have here, what's the one piece of your history that gives you the most pride?
I think the World Championships. I was lucky enough to get 3 of them, so that's quite a big task for me. The Isle of Man, I won the Isle of Man, which is another big achievement. Macau. I think the biggest thing I can say there, what's really makes me proud, is I won it 6 times, and it was 6 out of 6, so I didn't get beat there. So that was that was a big achievement for me. Yeah,
unbeaten at Macau's quite impressive.
Yeah.
Tell me about the early days. Tell me about Mal Carter. I was talking to Nigel Bosworth a few weeks ago, and he was talking about his run-ins and his racings with Alan and everything else, and we got talking about Mal. And one of the few people other than Alan that can tell stories about Mal and how it all came together is you with the Pharaoh Racing.
Yeah, Mal Carter, you used to call him Rough Diamond, and that's exactly what he was. He was a Halifax garage owner. He got a couple of garages, sold cars and stuff like that. Typical garage, owner for selling cars he was. He was just fantastic though. I think the biggest thing of him were he loved the racing sport, and he put all his own money in there. Whatever he earned from the garage, he just chucked into it. And quick one on him, Harry's not there. He used to love racing himself, so he used to race himself, and he had quite a big accident in the car that left his wife in a wheelchair and stuff, so he stopped racing. And my brother Philip were there racing at the club level, and he'd seen him there, and he started to sponsor my brothers. Philip was the first, and Terry was the second. As we know, obviously not go into that, but tragic accidents we had, and I sort of followed them. They did all the groundwork for me, all the work, so it made it a lot easier on my half. But to say Mal Carter, you couldn't get, I'll say, a nicer bloke. A lot of people tell you opposite. He was rough. If he didn't like something, he was fighting. Basically, it was like wow. But again, his heart was in the right place in racing. When I first started, where normally you get lads that struggle like mad to get going, and as I say, brothers put the groundwork in there, but Mal Carter just made everything. All I had to do is get myself to meetings, and he provided everything: bikes, vans, the lot. So what a start. It was really good. good relationship with him. To be honest, it got a better relationship with my brother Philip. They did everything. They won the banks. They did a lot of the road circuits and stuff. So he got actually a bit better relationship than me with him. But he did take me on and pushed me forward so much. I mean, at one stage he bought me 3 750 Yamahas TZs. Just because he says we don't want to be changing wheels. We'll have one with wets, one with intermediates, and one with slicks. That was his way. Let's take the hassle. At that point, I was doing everything. Driving the vans, going to the meetings, doing the mechanicing and stuff like that. I was limited because I didn't know much at that time. So we sent the engines off to John Cooper, of all people. And he did my first TZ engines, and I just fitted them in the bike and stuff until I got to know how to do it. But again, Mal Carter, I couldn't meet a better sponsor in my life as that. As I say, anything that would make it go quicker or faster, he would get. So you can't beat that. I had a lot of years with him. I first started with the 250, 350s, which I didn't like very much. But then we went on to the TZs, which the bigger bikes sort of, I don't know, it suited me better. I think it's because my first ever ride I had was on my brother's bike, and that was a Norton Commando, and that was when I was 15. So
that was your first ride?
That was my first ever ride to it, yeah. So it was like, wow, fantastic. My 2 brothers sort of put the money together, got a production bike, and that's how they went racing. And then Mal Carter come along and pick me up per se. But nice bloke at the time. Now his Mrs. Janet was Janet. Fantastic people. When you go on the right side of them.
This is it. You're staying on the right side and doing the right thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
What did Mal see in you as a rider? Because without him, you wouldn't have got on that path to where you are now.
To be honest, the Haslam family wouldn't have been anywhere without him. He provided the backing, the first start of it, and I think because we was so appreciative of a person like that, we just put 110% in all the while, and he could see that. He won't bother about crashing or anything, as long as you put your big effort in. He says that was all that matters, And basically, obviously, we did that. We did crash a lot, but because we were doing that, he just stuck by us all the way, which was good.
I mean, it doesn't happen so much these days, does it? Where somebody's going to come in. The sport's changed dramatically since the days of Ferro racing.
Oh, it has, yeah. I mean, Malk, it used to be like, there was never a pit board with Malk. All it was like thumb up or thumb down. That was it. In other words, thumb down means go faster. Thumb up, you're all right.
Julius Caesar.
That was my pit board. Yeah. So it was like, wow. It was fantastic. That was. As I say, I got on with pretty well, but not as good as my brother did, Philip. I think one of my biggest things was Croft as a story. But I was at Croft national meeting only, and I was leading it with a long way, and I was trying to break the lap record, and I'd got the race anyway, and I fell off last lap, didn't I? Oh, he was fuming. Because obviously I didn't use my head, young, wanting to do everything. And I fell off anyway. And I got back on. I think I finished about 3rd. But 'cause in them days you can get back on. Now you can't, basically. So got back on, finished 3rd. And then I think the Sunday then, I think it was at Cadwell Park. And that was one of the biggest meetings I ever had. And it was the top line was, at the time, was Mick Grant on the Kawasaki. And the MV, Phil Reed on the MV, Works MV and all that, so it was a big meeting for me, the biggest one I'd ever done. And Cadwell I knew really well because that's where I sort of got brought up on it, with Malk and everybody. And I happened to get 2 wins there, which was like, that was my biggest boost in my career at that point. And I was just so happy because, as I say, I think a week before I'd made that real mess and fell off on that, so I sort of made up for it a little bit with him there.
Was that at the point that you thought that this was going to be your life then?
Yeah, I always wanted it, purely because, again, like any kid, I was just round the fields on field bikes. No real ambition as far as what you call anything, just a labourer. I used to drive JCBs, that it. So I hadn't really what you call got ambition, except love racing bikes. And what can you do when Malcolm was along? It's like a dream. He said he took everything at it. I sort of like mad, to be honest, at first, because even though I got that good at backing, Malk only expected me to get to the meetings there and back. Well, you try and hold a job at 16, 17. You try and hold a job when every time Wednesday comes up, you go to Mallory. Every time Thursday goes up, you could Cadwell for practice, because that's what it was. Wednesday were Mallory, Cadwell Thursday. So hence I got through a lot of jobs, so I couldn't keep a job at once. So then I went and signed on, which you don't get a deal anyway. And obviously I have to give my mum some money for the board and that for stopping there. And I found that hard, because then I'd got to get my fuel bills and get the van there and back to meetings. It doesn't sound a lot, but when you got a wage coming in and you're getting a bit, you're bored for your mum and what have you, it was hard, that was. So I found it a little bit hard at that point, but because obviously at this point it's only club level, national level, so you're not getting any money in at all. So yeah, I had to do quite a few dodgy things to get there.
Like what, Ron?
Basically, well, obviously my biggest problem, I'd got no fuel for the van to get there and back, so the old siphoning tube come out, didn't it? And at the time it was the gas board. They tend to lost a bit out of the vans most nights. So that used to fill my drums up and get me there and get me back then, that did. So I'm pleased for the gas board. They sponsored me for a couple of years.
Unwitting sponsor for a couple of seasons.
Good sponsor, what they didn't know about, but they sponsored me for a couple of years. Yeah.
So big thanks to the gas board.
Yes, definitely.
For putting you on the road to what was a stellar career.
Yeah. Another one that I got on this is in the early side, where I was signing on, basically. And then I started doing a little bit better, started winning a couple and all that. And you got a bit of prize money at that point. Well, at this point, because the prize money wasn't that much, Malk gave it me. I thought, wow, this is great. This is, getting some money. So I ain't got to go and, siphon fuel out now. I can just about get fuel backwards and forwards. And but I'm still signing on. And I went to sign on one day. I think that was Wednesdays. Went to signing on, and they shouted me into the office. I thought, oh shit, what are they after now? And they says, what's happening? He says, you're signing on yet? They get all the actual motorcycle newspapers where I'd won, and I'd won a bit of prize money and all this stuff. And they were saying, how can you sign on? In other words, they were trying to get me for that.
Yeah.
And I just said, look, that's no to do with me. I says, I took it straight at Malk. I says, I don't get any of that. I says, he lets me ride the bike. I said, and that's it. And I got away with it. But I only went a few more weeks and I stopped signing on, because I thought they're going to get me.
They're on to you at that point.
They're on to me, so I thought I'll let that one go a little bit. Yeah.
Let that one slide.
Yeah.
What were your best memories of racing back at the British level back then? Because I remember that as a kid, and you get the boys coming back from GPs. There'd be Will Hartog knocking around, Barry Sheen would knock around. You mentioned Granty already.
Oh yeah.
Reg. They were kind of established stars at that point.
I think the biggest one I used to enjoy a lot was the transatlantic, when they used to fetch the Americans over. You used to get your Schwanzers and your Roberts and all them lot, and that I enjoyed that. It was supposed to be a team race, which everybody tries to beat everybody anyway, whether English or whatever. Really enjoyed it, because you always got like 2 to 3 good Americans, your Schwanzers or your Rainies or whatever used to come over, so they was like. To be fair, they were strong. They were like quite a good higher class. So it was good to see, race against them. But as a team event, it was really good, because we filled everything after about probably second spot. We could fill it, so we mostly won it anyway. And it was just fantastic. You get to the meetings, and obvious English against American. It was absolutely every person in the crowd were for you. You could even hear them as you're riding around. Normally you say you don't hear anything, British, that was like so loud you could hear them shouting for you to do well. So it was. I think the match races was one of the favourites for me.
Did you do them in the early 80s as well, when Freddie?
Yes, Freddie
Mike Baldwin.
Yeah, and all them coming. Yeah,
Kenny came over.
He did, yeah.
So that was kind of getting in towards your first international races.
It was, yeah, going to the international stuff. I can remember when you say internationals, I'm only picking bits out everywhere, but we went to Imola. Basically, transit van, caravan on the back, so bikes in the back of the transit, caravan on the back. Even Mal Carter drove, me and Mal and another one drove a van all the way to Italy and back and that and everywhere. And got to Italy, and I think I fell off anyway, but at one stage, when I sort of got back to the garage, he says, Mal come to me and joking, he says, you won't believe it, he says, but you was a millionaire at one stage. I went, what? He says, you was a millionaire. He says, but then you fell off, And I couldn't, he says, but it happened to be in lira, when it was like peanuts, nothing. So I was so much million lira, millionaire lira, which was nothing hardly, So it was a right laugh, that war. So no, we enjoyed all that. So just travelling around, with Malcolm and all that stuff, fantastic.
Before we get into the Grand Prix stuff, which is as fascinating as any part of it, especially with the development work and riding for Honda, for Rothmans Honda and Pepsi Suzuki. Talk to me about the Isle of Man TT, seeing as the boys and girls are heading there this week, and it all kicks off next weekend as we record this.
Of course, yeah. Oh, it's fantastic. Isle of Man, I think the biggest thing there was when Mal Carter loved the road circuits, Isle of Man, Northwest, all that. He loved it. Loved the Irish lot and everybody. Joey Dunlop, one of my best mates. He was fantastic. Isle of Man. He sent me over there before I started to race there. He sent me over there for 2 weeks in the winter, just driving around in a car, just trying to learn it. Isle of Man, myself, I learned it slightly different to other people. I just learned it by doing lap after lap. I won't care what the names were, Windy Corner, the Ramsey Airpin. I won't bother about that. I just went round and round until all the dots started, connecting together. Really enjoyed it. A couple of weeks over in winter doing that. It put me in a few classes, 250, the main event, Formula One at the time. So in every class we could get in, just to get some mileage on it. And I wasn't expected to do anything because I was a newcomer. There's always your Joey Dunlops was the main ones and stuff like that. So I enjoyed, really fantastic. Enjoyed that. My wife come over more and. With me as well, which was nice. She was a girlfriend at the time, obvious. Isle of Man, fantastic. Took me 3 years to win it, so I had 3 years at it. And it was the third. You say that the third year I say I won it, but then I got it took off me. So that was a big up because I got on the rostrum, got the for the win and all that. And then we went down to Seafront on the stage at the front at night. I got shouted up for second, which I'm riding for Honda at the time. At this point, not for Mal. Well, riding for Malk and Honda both together, and I'd won it on the Formula One. And they shouted me up for second. I couldn't believe it. From all this big thing, and Honda as well. They was celebrating and all that, and then they get it to Graham Crosby for he didn't start in his position, and because he didn't start in his position, he started at the back. Well, in the rule book, it just says if you don't start in your position, you lose your time. So it's in the rule book, that was it. But they didn't get him back anyway. And we said, we'll protest. And they said, well, you can't. Now it's at night time. It's 30 minutes after the thing. You can't protest. So that was that out the window.
We didn't know about it.
Didn't know.
You can't
didn't know anything. Nobody
about,
know,
you
yeah,
can't
so didn't know anything.
Protest
So
you don't know anything about it.
Very disappointed in it because of that. Honda was really disappointed. Honda Japan was. They was going to pull all the bikes out completely out of the TT, all the ones that they were sponsoring anyway. But I think they come to some arrangement, the Isle of Man and Japan. And just as a protest, we painted all the bikes black got black leathers, just to say, you're wrong in what you did. I think they knew there was, but obviously didn't pull it back. So I actually went round, and I'd got like a minute lead. So I went round as slow as I could. Isle of Man, if you can win it slow, win it slow. Bike brakes, does everything, tyres a lot. And they reckon they only beat me about a second, which that made me even worse, So a bit disappointed in that, but went back again, I think it was following year.
82?
Yeah, I think it was following year, and won it again.
Yeah.
So I'll say won it again, but in the books it'll say only once, But no, really enjoyed it. I think after I'd won it the first time, I'll say, then it become not so much enjoyment, not through anybody's fault except my own. I went there to win, not to enjoy it, and that wasn't nice. So I went in myself to win. So it didn't mean not Honda, not Malk, not nothing. It was just me. I went there. If somebody went quick, I'd just go out there and go quicker. And that's not good. That isn't. It's not as nice. Where all the other times up to winning it and all that, I just went out there and rode inside myself and enjoyed the hell out of it. Fantastic.
I think that is the absolute for the TT. I remember listening to commentary last year, and so many times, is he on for a lap record? Is he on for lap records? Don't count.
Yeah.
Well, obviously they do.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
if you have to put in a lap record to win, then so be it.
Do it. Yeah.
But if you don't, then it's not important.
Not
Crossing the line and standing on the top of that box and going home safe.
That's the main one.
Is the most important thing. Lap records are a bonus. That's what I mean. It doesn't matter.
Yeah. And as I say, Isle of Man these days, it's got the bikes have got so fast. The circuit's got a lot faster as well. They've changed a couple of corners. They've shifted a lot of views so you can see through a bit better. So at the moment, the Isle of Man, it sounds bad. It's really fast now. Compared to my day, it's like my day was not like that. I think it was about 114 or something, 115 that area. Yes. In my day, it wasn't that fast.
Joey did 115 as your teammate, didn't he?
Yes, I think he did. Yeah, so we were in that area when I won it. It wasn't, so now, well, as an example, just on pure bikes on the circuit, I went back and did quite a few years ago now. I did a thing for Honda where they had a competition all 2 weeks while the Isle of Man was there. They got a pillion on the back of me. So whoever won it got a full lap on back of me on roads closed and all that stuff. On the thingy Sunday lap, and I can't believe it. They gave me a brand new Fireblade, brand new tyres, brake pads, a lot. Not even done a mile. So I sat it on the start, and obviously we set off like a proper start. Off we went down Bray Hill, and I was that lucky. Who won it was a small girl that did sidecar racing, so she won't bother one bit. And I set off anyway on this Fireblade downhill, and I was excited because I'd not been there for quite a lot of years, and I thought, I still know it a bit here. And over the back anyway, not far after Bray Hill, I started sort of getting excited and getting a bit quicker. And then I went over one of the risers, and it went into the biggest tank slapper you've ever known, like fifth gear. I went curb to curb. I don't know how I stopped on. She's shouting and laughing, thinking it's normal. I'm thinking, wow, you don't even know how close that was. But I got it levelled up anyway, and then carried on. And then obviously mountain section I knew really well. But just the story is, from a standing start, because you cross the line, then come back to the pits again. From a standing start on a brand new Fireblade, brand new tyres, brand new brake pads, everything, with somebody on the back, I did 110. From a standing start, because the bikes had come on that much and the circuit had come on that much. So it's just like showing you how far the bikes has come as well as everything else.
That's an incredible comparison. For that.
My last win there was 114 or so, 15 or wherever it was. I did 110 with a pillion on a brand new bike with standard road tyres. It was like, wow. Yeah.
Would you go back, do it again?
No, I won't. I'm a bit old now for it. And to be fair, as I say, the bikes have got so fast now. No, because if I went back now, you can't stop not wanting to win. I know it's a dream or whatever, or it's impossible. I'm too old for it.
I meant more the parade lap.
Yeah, parade lap, yeah.
Parade lap.
But I wouldn't, but I'm sort of, I don't mind the parade laps, they're quite nice and all that. But to go, because as I say, you never lose it. When you do lose it, but you never lose the will to race, And so going back to race the Isle of Man, it would be a no, because I wouldn't trust myself, basically,
Look at Dave Madsen-Migdal. He was racing, I think he was racing the same time as you were when he started.
Yeah.
He's in his 40th year almost, I think.
Jesus, yeah.
He's still going.
He's still
68
going.
years old.
Wow, God.
It's incredible to see him. He's up the Northwest 200 as well.
68, God, he's a year older than me.
I think he's somewhere. He's definitely somewhere in that kind of area.
Brilliant.
What was I going to say? Before we talk about the GP side of things, I was going to go somewhere then. I've just confused myself by talking about Dave Madsen-Migdal. I've spoken to Granty, to Reg, to Roger Burnett, Charlie Williams over the last 12 months.
Yeah.
And Jack Valentine recently.
Oh, right, yeah, Jake.
Joey.
Oh, God.
And John McGuinness has come out today as well, the show that I did with him.
Yeah.
But one of the main people who knew Joey better than anybody, I think, that I've ever had on the show is you.
I think you've got to realise what, Joey's life. He was so quiet as far as talking. He didn't talk at all, hardly, but similar background to me, family-wise, big families, a bit hard to come, going through to start with and all that stuff. We were like, I've been over to Joey's house, I've been in his house. You didn't even need to ask. You just turn up, walk in the door and sit down. It was that type, he wouldn't bat an eyelid. But the other side of it, I say, as far as talking, he didn't talk a lot, even though, we had quite a lot of fun together, but you could go in his house, sit down, and he'd be there on the chair, and you'd watch telly or whatever, have a cup of tea and that. If you got 2 words at him, that'd be a lot. He just didn't, even when he's in a pub, just didn't talk. He just so that's the way it was. But as far as the pairs are concerned, yeah, fantastic. He'd gear out. I got a lot of respect for him. It was, it was just like one of the family, basically. But to be honest, all of them, were quite similar, quite open and all that. Did most of his own work on his bikes. That's what he liked, So similar stamp in every way. I say, stories on that Isle of Man. One go, the practice got cancelled or something got cancelled because of bad weather or something like that. And, night time, we were all up in the hotel. And that's when I think we were riding for Honda. And they were up in the hotel playing cards, like about 3 or 4 of us. And because we didn't play for money, it was just a laugh. We says, right, okay, whoever loses the cards, I've got to go run down to the sea, the beach, because we're on the seafront hotel. And we're upstairs in the room. So you've got to run downstairs, go to the sea, touch the sea, come back up in there, naked. This is at night. And go, okay, right, perfect. Joey lost, didn't he? Oh, the laugh. He did it, no doubt, even though he didn't say much. He stripped off, as soon as he run down to the sea, as soon as he's coming back, what do? Locked door.
Close the door.
Yeah. He climbed up the drain pipe and in the window. Yeah.
No.
Yeah. Oh, it was. And he just didn't defend him. It was just, that's what it was, And but he'd turn up, Formula One at Assen. He just turned up in his car, and he's been like away for about a week or so from his house, just sleeping in his car driving around. It was just, it was a bit, one of a kind, basically. Riding wise, road circuits, incredible. Short circuits had got the edge on him. Road circuits, wow, it was good. Fantastic. Yeah.
You learned plenty from him as a teammate from the road side of things.
Road circuits I did. Not Northwest, up Windy Corner and that, one go, Jesus Christ. And this is how bad it was. It was, what's it called? Clinchy. Of course, Dundrod, isn't it? Dundrod. That one, is it?
The Ulster?
Ulster, sorry, Ulster, yeah.
Ulster. Yeah, Dundrod, right, yeah.
Yeah, Dundrod, yeah. Well, we were there anyway, we were practicing, and up what you call past the windmill and all that section is a real fast-flowing section. And I was losing miles to him, like on that. I thought, okay. And he was that good. I says, well, I tell you, I'm going to follow you, like. So obviously, we're both on Hondas, Honda Britain. Went out there, and we got to this section, and tried to follow him. He cleared off a little bit, but then I managed to catch him on the slower stuff again. And next lap, we're coming again up to this certain place. I don't know the names of the corners now, but basically there's a back marker in front. Colour. It's practice, but it's a slower rider in front, and he's going to dive under him, and it's just where this section where I want to get behind him to follow him. Yeah. So he starts to dive under him, Joey does, and I'm touching him behind him. I thought, right, okay. So as he starts to go, I go. But then he slammed on, Joey didn't think he could make it. Well, I'd already just started twisting into. No. So, oh God, I'm going to hit him flat stick. So I snatched the front brake, touched the back end of him, went down, and I was that lucky I slid straight up a farm path, and this is on the Britain, slid up a farm path, and he knew, because he went round the corner, he didn't have slid up the farm path, never did hit me, I was lucky on that. And this is on the Britain bike, he went round the corner, parked his bike, got off his bike, chucked his bike on the side, run back to see if I were all right. That's the person, unbelievable, so yeah, he knew what had happened because he felt me touch him as I hit him at the back, and he sort of, as he accelerated, I thought, I'm going with you because I want to get behind you on this next section, and as he did that, and I did that, as soon as I did that, he did opposite. He touched it to I thought, I'm not going to go. Caught me out perfect, But as I say, the biggest thing on that is he went round the corner, he took the bike on the side, on the floor, and come running back to see if I were all right. Yeah.
That is... Yeah. A lot of what I hear of Joey as the man is he's second to none.
He was, yeah.
In terms of how he treated people. He might not have said a lot, but he cared a lot about people.
He didn't say a lot, but do you know he wasn't jealous on anybody. He was just what he was. He wasn't like, he didn't think, oh God, look at him, he's got this, he's got that, he's got other. Nah, not Joey. He wasn't bothered.
Can't beat him anyway.
It didn't matter. Yeah. That's what he'd say. Yeah, I'll beat you anyway. So it was, fantastic. Yeah.
Bring what you want in that. Yeah. How did the GP dream come about?
I think the GP was. I think it's because I did so well for Honda. They sort of gave me a chance. A bloke caught in Honda at the time, head of Honda, Honda Britain. This is. It was Joel Davison, and he had a lot of respect for me. And I'll be dead honest, he pushed it forward. He pushed me forward into the GPs. So I got Honda Britain to push me forward. As I say, a bloke called Joel Davison, fantastic bloke. He'd got a lot of respect for me, and he gave me the chance for it. Yeah.
What are your first early memories of arriving in a GP paddock as a Grand Prix racer? Again,
it was like, you go there and you go there, first off, you just think, like every racer, you think you're going to just beat them all anyway. My biggest disappointment, I think, knowing now, was Freddie Spencer. He was my bloody teammate, wasn't he? And he was on fire. He come into GPs and he just did stuff that nobody else had done in the bloody paddock. Where everybody tried to look at him, copy him or whatever. I'm his teammate. Well, first person you've got to beat is your teammate, isn't it? So I thought, wow, this is a task. This
is 83, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh, it was yes, I pushed as hard as I could, but not just me. There was nobody at that time could match him. It was on a different bike, world track to everybody else. It made it look so easy.
If you'd have beaten him, you'd have been world champion that year.
That's exactly it. Yeah, and that actually happened most of the time as well. Went to Pepsi Suzuki, didn't it? My teammate, Kevin Schwantz. What did he do that year? Win the championship. I thought, shit, another one. So I just
Can you just not?
Yeah. Give me someone to beat that's not going to be a world champion at that year. Again, you can say, well, it's a good marker. If you want to win the world championship, you've got your teammate there, so on one side it's I would say it's a bonus. On the other side, it's dead hard to look good. Yeah. So yeah.
Do you think that hindered you a little bit? Having the fast American teammates?
I think it did, to be honest, because you never get, you don't get noted as much, because no matter what in the teams, yes, I had got very similar to stuff as Freddie Spencer had got, but not exact. As an example was 3-cylinder Hondas. Freddie got brand new engines. I got the engines off of Freddie reconditioned, but they were still new. They'd all been reconditioned, but they wasn't new.
They're not fresh out the factory,
not
off
fresh
the
out.
bench,
Yeah.
are they?
So yes, I had the same equipment, but not quite as good. But I'm not blaming that, because Freddie was just, everybody was looking at Freddie going, "How are you doing it? How are you going this quick?"
And you're walking around the paddock and everybody's going, "Good luck."
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. So yeah. I think it ended a little bit. That did. Yeah.
But then the move to the Elf 3.
That was again,
a heck of a project.
It was a big one. I didn't want to do it at first, but I'd been with Honda most of my career at that point, so I was quite faithful with them. Yes, they asked me if I'd ride for Elf. I wasn't keen, so then they come up with a plan of, well, if the Elf, because Elf project wasn't going to win anything at that time, it was quite not advanced at all. So we agreed on I could run what I call a factory Honda 4-cylinder standard, so not Elf whatever, until the Elf got up to speed. That was the deal in the contract, and I thought, God, I'm on better all worlds here. I'm going to have a factory ride again, 4-cylinder, not a 3-cylinder, 4-cylinder. I can ride it all the time until the Elf gets better, until it gets good, quick enough. That was great. I think I did the first 2 or 3 meetings, Suzuki, Phillip Island, something like that, and I went, because the Elf were nowhere near, I was using the standard one. I went 3 rostrums, 3/3. So I think I was 3rd in the championship, or well up, way up in the championship. I thought, this is good. But then the 3 races I did then, Elf complained, and obviously footing all the money up. They said they want to see their bike in a race. Hence I think I got about 20th next go. So I'd just got the biggest start of my championship, chance.
Yeah.
I got 3 rostrums out of it straight away on the standard proper factory bike, and then I finished up 20th. So that
Did it have the NSR engine in it?
It had
The NSR 500 engine at the
it had
time.
the 500 engine in the Elf. First it was the 3-cylinder Honda one, and then it went to the 4 after. Yeah.
Was Guy Coulon part of that project?
Sorry?
Guy Coulon, was he part of that Elf project? Do I remember?
Yes, it was.
It's amazing what you remember, what you pick up over the years.
No, it was. Yeah.
Being at Tech 3 with Hervé Poncharal still sort of knocking around the GP paddock now.
Oh yeah, he was in it. Yeah. I think the biggest thing with the Elf project was they wanted something that wasn't standard. It had to be different.
Was it?
Yeah, I know. So first off, that's with a single-sided swinging arm come, which Honda had got the rights on. See, Honda had got all the rights on whatever Elf developed.
Yeah.
So the single-sided swinging arm, Honda took that straight away. The front end never really got there. It didn't quite get as quick as not for racing anyway. So obviously they didn't actually get that. But I think the biggest thing with Elf is Serge Rossi was that run everything for us, and Elf was the big sponsor. Mr. Guite, his name was, the main one over the project. And I can always remember in the meeting, actually in France, in the big headquarters, and the Sage, me, and all that, they're showing us around the factories and all that, what they do. Because they don't just do that, they do everything, oils, perfumes, they do everything. So they gave us this big show around the place. And this sort of course, I think there was the 5th biggest company in the world at that time, after everything.
Wow.
That's how big they was. And they're getting all this, videos and all this spool on it and all that. And then it come to right, okay, what we're doing, budget for the year for the elf, and Sage Ross is now into it, and he said, well, I don't know so many million it was for this project or whatever, and Sage happened to say to Gite, which was there, he says, yeah, but what happens if we run out? He says, oh no, I said, it doesn't matter. He says, we've got to put a budget in there because that's how you do it. He says, but if you run out halfway, we'll just double it. And that was straight from Elf. It was like, wow, yeah. And it was like, so in other words, money, there wasn't. It was just like, don't matter, makes no odds. And at that point then, Sage Rossi took that, and he did well out of that, because he bought all new workshops, he bought dynos, he did everything, like try and get on there, suspension dynos, everything. He got a suspension dyno, a real trick one where you could put all the front end on it. So you put a factory front end, the forks and all that, got all the readings off it, and then put the L front end on it, and copied it basically to make it work. Copied it all, went to the track, absolute useless, didn't work. What you're seeing on the dyno for a really expensive one that put all the front end on it did not work on the track, not even close.
You've got to imagine that was the hardest thing to make work, was that front end of the Elf bike, because the back end went on to the RC30, the RC45.
Oh, perfect, it worked good.
It worked, proven race winners, but that front end, as beautiful as it looked and as unusual.
Yeah.
How was it for you as a rider to get your head around that?
The first one was, how it worked was the linkage system. That the first one, which I never raced, but I tested it, and it was the two swinging arms, but it sagged in the middle. So the two swinging arms sagged it in the middle. So you didn't get what you call a pitch backwards and forwards. It sagged to the middle, and the problem you got with it, in the middle of a corner, being used to conventional bikes, when you hit a bump or a dip, it simulated a front end slide. Perfect. So I run off the track twice, thinking the front end had gone, it hadn't, so, and that become too hard to get my head round, So that's when I went to Sage and I said, look, you've got to make it pitch backwards and forwards. Hence then, Sage designed it, a different type of front end, still front swinging arm to it still, but it was like a scissor effect, exactly like an aeroplane front leg. Front leg on an aeroplane where you see the scissor how it works. Yep. Pretty much copy of that. Okay. And what that really did for it, it meant when you hit the brakes, it actually pitched forward and pitched back, which felt a lot nicer.
That's a bit more like a racing motorcycle when the inertia moved. You put the weight on the front to make the front tyre work.
Yes.
It's feeling.
It's feeling, yeah. And it made the feeling a lot better. It still struggled to transfer its weight, but it was loads better. So that's what we went with, and that's what we kept going with. We tried all sorts of stuff. The bike, to be honest, was too heavy. With all the linkage system and the swinging arms and that, it just become too heavy. So power to weight was not there. It was like, even though we'd got a factory 4-cylinder engine in it at one stage, still weren't nowhere near quick enough. Just too heavy. Tried to lighten it off. We put a carbon swinging arm on it. It flexed that much. It was back wheel steering everywhere. That went back, and that's before carbon were really, big. So they made this carbon swinging arm. God no, I don't know how much that costed or that. And it went back about 5 times, 6 times to be stiffened. Because it was flexing too much. We finally got it to work. We thought, yes, got it. We weighed it. It's heavier than the alloy.
No,
so I thought, what we've done,
much.
Because we had to keep stiffening up.
It's only getting to the point now where they can, in Grand Prix, where they can target flex with carbon.
They can,
and this is 2024.
Yes, yeah,
this is 30 odd years.
You couldn't do it then. It was just to get making
later.
Stronger and stronger till it become heavier than the alloy anyway.
And Chris Mayhew was part of that team
Chris
as well,
Mayhew,
wasn't
it nearly wrote him off. I'll be dead honest with you. He put that many hours in. Chris Mayhew did. He was incredible, to be honest. Absolutely incredible man. He lived in the workshop. He got his own little kitchen and bed and all that actually in the workshop, and he just did every hour that God sent. He made a full alloy swinging arm. Incredible. The bloke was, but I've got to say, it took his toll on him. It was like, it was ill. It was working that much and that way. But what a man to do that much. But yeah, he did most of the stuff for that. I can't, praise him enough for how much work he worked. But to be fair, everybody in the Elf project, whether it was Serge Rossi, main man, as I say, Chris Mayo or the mechanics, they all put more than 100% in, which that spurred me on. Even though it won't get a good result, it spurred me on like mad because everybody were behind it. Like they really wanted it to work. And that makes a big difference as a rider.
Of course it does, because you've all got to be pulling the same way, haven't you?
Yes.
You've all got to, if you see the lads sticking the time and the effort in, and the same with Leon, he's not shy of getting involved in what he's building here.
Oh, God.
And with the academy and
how many hours he puts in.
Exactly.
Crazy.
The work ethic's there from both of you.
It is, yeah.
And Chris is an unsung hero of British motorcycle racing. We'll come on to him a little bit more when we talk about this.
Yeah.
But he's one of those names that maybe not many people know. He was in the TT documentary in his little workshop in the closer to the edge, because he was building the engines for Wilson Craig.
Yeah.
So the amount of race wins and championships that man's had, and Grand Prix and TT. And
now, obviously, looking back on his career, Elf with me, Norton with me, and all that way, and then he went into obvious tuning and engine building, and he just went straight to the top, didn't he? I mean, everybody wants, engines from him, because he is that good. He's got that much behind him, puts the effort in all the way. So yeah, big credit for him.
We're good friends with Phil, his son. And Phil, we showed you a couple of photos. I'll put those up on the screen when we talk about them. We've got a lovely photo of Chris with Ron and the Elf, but we've also got a great picture when we talk about Norton of Chris, and there's you, and then there's Leon in his mini Norton and his little mini leathers.
Yes, definitely.
I'll pop that up when we get to that point.
Perfect.
But at the time in Grand Prix, Rob Mack was out there, you were out there, Neil Mackenzie was out there. It was a real good time for British racers in Grand Prix racing, which we don't see the likes of that anymore.
You don't know. It's dead hard because, again, you can always like bitch about stuff, but the Americans or the Italians and that seem to get a better opportunity now. For whatever reason, they seem to get the chances a little bit more than what the English do, and I think that's the biggest thing there. So that's why we struggle a bit more. Then it won't. It sounds bad, but if you'd got, I would say, something about you, and it looked like you were going to do well, they're getting you a chance at it. You could get a chance. If you could ride hard enough and it looked good, they're getting you a chance. But this day, it's not enough. It's like you've got to bring sponsors in, you've got to do this, you've got to do that. It's like different altogether, basically.
What was it like from your side having the boys out there with you?
It was good because that's the ones you wanted to beat first. Like it's normal. Normal competition. Like so. Okay, any English, yes, that's who I want to beat, and then I'll go for the rest. Like it's, and I think that would, me, Neil, and all that, all the same. Rob Mack. Even if we didn't win it or whatever, if I beat them, I'd in my head, I was quite satisfied. I thought, yes, okay, I want to win, but at least I'm, And they were the same. Neil and Rob. It's the target is on all the English lot to start with.
And the riding level between the three of you was pretty comparable, wasn't it? You could all podium.
Oh, we all podium, yeah.
We all got factory rides at one point or another.
I had the biggest battle with Neil from start to finish of the race. It must come upside on me on the brakes every time, and I kept layering off and blocking him, layering him off and blocking him. He'd got more corner speed than me, but what I'd got is a bit heavier brakes, and I used to let off. It was something I used to let off. So he couldn't get his corner speed, couldn't get the run, and oh God, it went from from lap one to the end, and the same in Suzuka circuit one go as well. I think Neil was in front of me, I think, absolute pittling down with rain, wet. I used to like the wet. And I'm starting to get quicker, and it's right near the end of the race. And Neil's in front of me, and I don't think I could have caught him, even though I was closing on him, but I couldn't have caught him for end. But anyway, I fell off the last lap, trying to, because there was a chance I could have caught him, you know, like, and I fell off anyway. And obviously I'm all disappointed coming into Paddock. Next minute I hear, oh God, if he'd have just stopped on, Neil fell off 4 corners later,
No.
you know, because he thought I was catching him, you know, like, so we both fell off basically. I think he fell off in Spoon at Spoon Cave, I think it was, right near the end of the lap, and mine was early on in the lap, and that was just purely, I knew we were in front, and I could see I have a chance here, you know, like, so no, a bit too much.
Ever the racer.
Yeah.
Ever the racer.
Yeah.
What are your best memories of the GP years when you look back?
GP, I think when I first went there was nice. You know, the 3-cylinder Honda with Freddie. Again, Freddie won. I'll be dead honest with you. Nobody knew how to take Freddie because he never used to come out to smoke home hardly. Didn't talk to many people. He just did what he did. It was, once I got to know that, first off I thought he was typical American, you know, like, okay, yeah, thinks he's better than everybody else, you know. Didn't know him at this stage. And him not coming out of the van, not saying out and doing it like that, but times I did get talking to him, totally opposite. You know, it was just like normal. You know, it sounds bad, this does, but it was quite normal. He won't big-headed, he won't anything, you know, so we got talking about radio control cars and planes because I was into that a little bit, and he was, so yeah, we did get talking a little bit. At one stage I thought he was like trying to be a little bit, I would say not funny, but I asked him about braking points at one of the circuits. It was actually Assen, and I said, you know, braking points into first turn on that, and he said, I don't use them. I said, what do you mean you don't use them? And I went, you know, I thought at that time, he just don't want to say, you know, he don't want to talk about the track, basically. He said, no, I don't use them. He said, I just look at the corner and brake when I think I've got to brake, you know, and that's it. And I didn't believe him at the time. I just went, nah, just keeping quiet, you know. And then he went to Assen, not seen the place before, doing really well with Honda, was getting a little bit young and cocky, and he didn't bother turning up for first practice. And it's Honda, and they were after the championship. He never bothered turning up. And I think it was the first time that he'd had a right telling off with Honda because he never turned up after the championship. And he'd never had a telling off before because he'd always been the best. You know, like,
He'd been golden boy,
yeah,
at that point.
And he went out to Assen, got the bike out of the truck, and he went out, and the third lap, with no setup on it, no nothing, he broke the lap record. Third lap. You know, and I thought, well, there's no way that he does use braking points or anything like that. It's impossible. You cannot do that. Third lap. No. Third lap out of the box, you can't do that. So, to be fair, it was normal, telling the truth, really, you know. But just, it was so good. And that was his biggest pull. You know, obviously I was his teammate, followed, looked at him, tried to work out where it were happening. It were happening all the way into the corners, you know. He could control the front end, slide the front wheel on the brakes without any problems, you know. And that was his biggest key. That sort of got him in there so good, got him out so good, made it look so easy, you know.
I remember him telling me that how he worked on that as a kid, where he could see the different coloured leaves in his backyard, and he could slide it through whether they were damp and whether they were dry. Yeah. And that's how he honed his skill on the front of the bike to get such feel, which is his book, of course. That
was his be all and everything. That was that made him a world champion. That many times he was so confident, very confident, you know, as a person on the front end. He just believed he could do anything with it, and he did, you know. So skill, yes, massive, but I think self-belief in that side was a real big one.
It's unshakable, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
The great thing about the era that you were racing in the late 80s, early 90s is that you got to race. I mean, as dangerous as they were, you got to race iconic tracks like the proper Assen, the proper Salzburg Ring, the proper Hockenheim.
Yeah, they were good there.
Tell me about those, because there's only so many riders now I can speak to that race those.
Yeah.
Zero Fit, the king of base layers, are worn by Bennett's British Superbike riders Glenn Irwin, Andrew Irwin and Lee Jackson. And as proud sponsors of this show, Zero Fit are offering you a free thermal beanie with every base layer purchased. It's really simple. All you have to do is scan this QR code and enter OT24 when you check out. Thank you, and back to the show?
No, again, yes, there was more dangerous then, because, the way there was. But I used to love it. Yeah. I did the Isle of Man. I did all that before. And so to me, places like that, I enjoyed it. It wasn't... you didn't see the danger because I'd already been to Isle of Man and all them places.
There's no
I think
walls
the
or
others,
trees, is there?
Yeah, so all the others had all the short circuit stuff, so it sort of put them off, darted them a little bit. So that made it better for my half, So no, loved it. Spa, the old, Spa circuit, that were fantastic. I used to love that one. Again, Schwantz had a crash there, it put him off quite a bit. Again, because it was a road circuit. But I think I was all right because I'd been brought up on some road circuits anyway. And to say the old Aston, the speed, I mean, as they do now, closing the roads and then going in and then now it's a race circuit. It was
At Grand Prix level?
Yes, at Grand Prix level, yeah. So they're all there on it, yeah. It was better times. I mean, you go around the paddock, I'm not saying Freddie and that, but all the riders talked. The mechanics talked. Everybody, you're in the paddock, and the paddock was quite nice. You could talk to anybody. Now, these days, mechanics aren't allowed to talk to other mechanics. Riders don't talk to each other. They don't. It's just like I don't know. They think it's more professional, but it's not.
It's clinical.
Yeah, it's not as nice.
It's not a community.
No, it's not as nice. It used to be. I mean, even down to the great man Rossi. I've seen him in Aston Paddock in the club half walking around. I've seen him, wandering around talking to because Aston used to like the main paddock and then the outside paddock. Yeah. I've seen him at night time walking around the outside paddock talking to people. Rossi, when he was the world champion, it was like, that was the way,
But he gets it.
It's normal.
He gets it because of his dad. And the same with Leon with you.
Yeah.
His dad raced in the GP paddock. He knows the sense of community.
Yeah.
And that's what he's been brought up on.
And the
guys today don't have that.
No, it was so natural and normal for somebody like Rossi to do that around a club level paddock. Dead happy. Yeah. So that's the bit that I would say has gone a lot now. Yeah, it's gone away a lot. That has. Everybody now thinks they have to be so professional, and they are. To quote Rossi, what he says when he packed up, he says, "Now it's like." Your discipline now is like you're training for the Olympics. It's that discipline now. You're full-blown athletes from what you eat, how you train, what you do. He says, not really in our way. Yes, we was fit because we wanted to be, and we did a lot of respect, but not to the level where it's at now.
No, I mean, Leon's always been a hard trainer. He's always pushed himself to the limit in terms of training. There's never been a question over his fitness. No. But then I sat down with John McGuinness on Saturday night, who keeps getting a bollocking from Honda because he doesn't train.
That's it, definitely. Oh, John he quite admit that no, he don't bother. But Leon, I think because he seen me in my early career when he was dead little and young, I used to train because I used to like to. So I used to come, most days training, just myself. And then when Leon come along, I was still training. And again, as a little kid, he joins in, doesn't he? And it sort of just progressed, and he's gone on to the same now. He trains most days still. He's took it to a higher level than me. He knows all the what to eat, what not to eat, and all this to keep it at the most energy and all that. Where mine, it was just you still had your Sunday dinners and all your standard stuff. And your training was just hard training. That was it.
Like Reg with a lot of running, squash, anything to keep that aerobic fitness going.
Keep it going,
Bit of strength training as well, but not in the way that they have it today with you will eat this at this time and you strength conditioning at this time and then we'll do this.
Yeah, there was none of that. No. They were just like, you got your Sunday dinners, didn't you? And that was it. Your biggest meal at tea time. Normal.
Standard
that was your big meal. That's like... These days, now they just eat bits all the way through. And
I'm so pleased you said tea time.
Yes.
So pleased. Breakfast, dinner and tea.
Yes.
There's no argument.
That's it.
That's what it is.
That's what I always wore.
It always is for me as well.
Yeah.
When you rode Hondas in Grand Prix, you rode Pepsi Suzuki in Grand Prix for the late Gary Taylor.
Yes, yeah.
You rode the Cagiva.
Yeah.
Which one do you look back and smile the most at?
The Pepsi one that I was more disappointed that I didn't get another year on it. Because I just felt like I'd come from the Elf to the Pepsi, and I just felt like I'd got back into what I call a standard bike. Well, standard, that was slightly different because it was built around Kevin, but it worked well, you know. And I just about got my head around how it goes around the track quick, and I didn't get a second year on it. And that would be disappointing for me, that was, because everything says I was going to get a second year on it, and I thought, and I was actually lapping as quick as Schwantz were at the end of the GP career. You know, there was nothing in us, you know, so I thought, well, I'm on for a good season the following year. But then, you know, I think it was Didier Rodriguez.
Didier de Rodriguez.
Yes. He come in to Pepsi, supposed to be with this massive sponsor, you know. So he was actually going to put loads of money in to the sponsor. So basically, they either pay me or they get paid themselves by this big sponsor. Obviously, the way they went, you know, because they've got Kevin, you know, as a champion.
He's a factory rider.
Yeah.
He's there,
So
isn't he?
so basically, I got pushed out, basically, and Didier got pushed in. And the bit that I was really disappointed in is Didier did it really well. It never got a big sponsor. It was just all fantasy, nothing. But then when they'd already signed him up, when they already signed him up and everything, they just carried on down the road. So he got it.
That's confidence.
Yeah, he was that confident, but he'd never got the sponsor in.
Was it the year after that he lost it and Rob Mack took it?
That's it, yeah. But he'd lost it anyway.
He'd lost it anyway because he'd lied to get in there.
He lied to go in there.
But he'd signed his contract and there's nothing.
He'd signed all the contracts and all this and that, and all they finished. Turned around and just says, "I'm very sorry, sponsors pulled out. It was never there in the first place." So that I was I was disappointed because I felt like I could do it more justice the following year. I just felt like I'd sort of got my head around it. Yeah.
The Cagiva was some projects as well, wasn't it? Because they'd had Randy Mamola on there.
They'd had Randy, they had everything, yeah.
Were you pre-Eddie or did you have Eddie?
No, Eddie was straight after me.
Yes.
I was disappointed in that one because, yes, they knew I'd developed a lot of stuff and all that, so the team knew all that. The Cagiva was based on a Yamaha, you know, in all the geometry and engine and all that, so it was based around the Yamaha. I got on it, and the first testers that I got on it, the first thing I was saying that we've got to alter the headstock. You know, it's wrong. It needs to come back and under and all this. But the Cagiva designer guys reckons not. You know, so I was battling like mad to get any changes done on it, and that happened most of the year all the way through. Cagiva itself, the two brothers, fantastic. You know, they was, you know, dead, the family people and all that. They knew I was a family, and I think they come and watched at Spa once, and it was wet down the hill, and I was pushing hard, trying to get well up and get full sideways. And they stood and watched, and they knew I'd got a family. And to be fair, that then, I think that really it didn't help me. Because they was more guilty that I'd got a family and I was pushing that hard, you know. So I don't think that helped, to be fair. So nice on their half, but didn't really help on that side. And the disappointment was then Eddie Lawson come in. Randy come in halfway through a season, I think it was. He did pretty well on it. He actually got a rostrum, he did. And the Cagiva brothers, obviously they were well off and all that, they says anybody to get a rostrum can have a Ferrari car, give it them. Yeah. But Randy did it in the wet.
He did it as well, didn't he?
Yeah, and he got a car. Yeah.
Castiglione brothers.
Yeah, that's it.
Wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah. So that was that. I say
Where
then
I keep pulling these names from, but
but then Lawson come in the following year. He went to the test days, and I think it was the first test day. He says, "Right, take it back to the factory." What did he say? Chop the front end off, bring it under, and they did it straight away. Because it was Lawson that was, you know, been a world champion and that. But yeah, I told that, I says that, the first exact words, and there was no, design's good, you know, yeah. But Lawson coming from Yamaha, coming from Yamaha, he just went, no, you've got to chop the front end off and do this and that, and they did it straight away. So I was a bit pittled off about that.
Yeah, understandably so, because it's like they're making out that you don't know what you're talking about.
They made out that they knew better.
Yeah.
And I weren't, I suppose, powerful enough to try and change it. Where Eddie Lawson, he was black and white. Like, that's going to happen. Like, yeah, which is fantastic. Yeah.
The other thing about those days as well, you self-managed.
Yes. Yeah.
No, there was no management as there is these days or anything else. So all decisions and all. And we're talking to Neil about this. You negotiated your own rides. You rang the teams to go. What have you got?
Yeah, I went into the Castelloni brothers, sat at a desk, and I'll be dead honest with you, I didn't really negotiate because they knew what they were going to give me before I went in, and they just basically says, right, yeah, okay, X amount of money, yeah, okay, shook the hand, went, that's it. Like, I thought, well, that was easy. Like, I didn't even need to say a word or anything. One of them, I mean, pointless because they'd already knew what they was going to, and that was it.
Just send it. Why didn't you just fax it to me?
Yeah, could have done. Yeah.
You could have done it. So, what was the decision then to come back to domestic racing? I'll
be dead honest with you. I struggled then, as everybody does when you start to get a bit older. I struggled to get a competitive bike. I didn't want to go on something that wasn't competitive because, again, the aim is to win the championship, to win races, win championships. And I couldn't get a competitive bike, I believe, to do that at that stage. So I decided, I thought, I'll come back to England. Me being as, like all riders are, I'm a GP rider, so I thought, come back to England, be easy. Like, that's in my head. I thought, come back to England, be easy.
That's right, isn't it? That's exactly what you're going to, any rider coming back, Rob Mack,
think that straight away.
Mackenzie.
Yeah, and so I thought, I'll go back to England, have some fun, know all the circuits. In my head, I'll win every race. That was the norm. And obviously it didn't go that way. It was about 10 times harder than you think. The races had finished before they started because you're used to GP long races, aren't you? And I can remember on the Norton, I felt like I'd only done about 2 laps and flag were out again.
Just
I'd not even got going. I thought, Christ, the flag's already here. I'm finished about 7th or something like that. Or whatever it was.
Tell me about the Norton days because that is still one of the most iconic liveries and motorcycle. That the 588, if I remember rightly. 588 Norton.
Yeah.
Chris Mayhew again as part of the team. Maybe Chris Pike was knocking about at the time in his younger days.
Yeah.
What was that project like to be a part of?
It was good. Barry Simmons was the manager.
He was.
Bless him. Passed away now, but. He was the manager. I knew him from Under Britain days because he was the manager in Under Britain, so I knew him over that. They first gave me I was at Donington when I'd come back. Not got a ride or anything at this point, and the Norton were there, and Barry Simmons come to me because I knew him really well, and he says, do you want to have a test on it? The Norton at the time because he were over the project. Out at Donington, and I'd only just gone down. Me and Ann had just spectating or whatever it was, and I ain't got no with me. I ain't got leathers, helmets, nothing. Like I'm just here. And he said, no, so I can get you all that if you want to have a ride on it. Because he was desperate for me to go on it. So I physically borrowed leathers, boots, helmets, and everything. Jumped on it, run around, and it was different, but I thought, it's pretty good this is, and obviously offered me the ride then as well. But one bad thing come on that day, because I borrowed all my stuff, I borrowed I don't know if it was a Bell helmet or whatever it was, well I was still contracted to Arroy. And because I'm down there with no leathers and all that, and I thought, well, no problem, but I seen Simmons, I said, look Simmons, Barry, I says, I know you've got cam photograph people here, I says, please don't use any on this. I've got leathers that's from somebody else, helmets and all that. And no problem. He said, no problem. He said, well, won't do that. He says, thank you. So I didn't charge him for riding it, right? But then I signed up for it. And signed up for it. So the big publicity come out, didn't he? And what bloody photo did they put on? Yeah. From that day. Oh, God. RI phoned me up straight away. Cancelled.
There and then?
There and then, yeah. Cancelled my contract there and then. I'd been with him for years. But they said, look, your main photograph that's in England, you've got helmet on. And I can always remember the words they says. I said, look, I told him the story. I said, look, I went down there, not even to ride. I said, I borrowed leathers, boots, helmets and everything. I said, because I wasn't even there to ride, you know. They said, look, this says, you're a professional rider. You can't really put this. He says, if a prostitute went to work and she didn't take condoms, it's a problem. He says, you actually went to a circuit. You hadn't got your gear, hadn't you? What? He says, you're a professional person. You didn't take your helmet. That's the words he put to me. I went, fair dues. Yeah. Shouldn't have wore it, I suppose.
But then the irony is you look around here.
Yeah.
And there's 40 or 50
RI
helmets
all
the way
yeah.
around.
No, to be fair, I respected him what he said. I said, yeah, I shouldn't have done it. But I did try and cover myself by telling Simmons not to do photographs and all that.
Yeah.
Because I signed up for him, that's the photograph they put on. So everything went wrong for me.
Can't imagine that happening today, can you?
No, my RI contract got cancelled instant, which is I was dead disappointed in that one, because RI helmets, I love them. They're good, I like them and all that. In fact, I carried on riding RI helmets, just buying them. You know, it just, you know, I didn't go anywhere else. Yeah. So that was the Norton bit that when I first rode for Barry. The Norton itself, yeah, unusual rotary engine, very different to ride compared to anything. A lot of people couldn't get on with it purely because the rotors act like how can you say it, like a big steamroller crankshaft. You know, once it got spinning, it was like it would spin good forever. Didn't accelerate very fast in the lower gears because it was big heavy weight to spin up.
Yeah.
But it accelerated as fast in third gears as it did in first. So that again, it loads of power, you know, like compared to anybody else. So that was different. Also, on the closing of the throttle, closed the throttle, it didn't shut off, did it? It just carried on going like a steamroller. So you physically had to stamp on the back brake, as hard as you could go for the first half. After the first half of the braking, then you had to let the brake go and start slipping the clutch, because there were no slipper clutches at the time, you know. In fact, again, the Norton at that time, it had got a clutch off a mini car.
What?
It was a mini car, because the mini car place had gone bust or bankrupt or whatever, and they got all these parts and that, and Norton bought the clutches off them.
From like British Leyland?
Yes, somewhere like that, yes it was, yeah, definite. And they put this mini clutch on, this great big diaphragm mini clutch, you know, like, so no slipper clutches, all like that daft. So it was hard to ride, as I say, you had to slip the clutch by hand after half distance. But I got into it because I got brought up with stuff like that anyway. So I got into it really well. Made it work pretty good. But then Barry Simmons at the time then developed it with Norton, and they put a Kawasaki clutch on it. 750 Kawasaki slipper clutch, and that made a big difference. They made it belt drive, not chain, you know, belt drive to it. So yeah, they did a lot to it. And the thing of it is, it was super fast in the high gears, really fast, you know, faster than any of the other bikes at that time. You know, like which were the brilliant. So anything up third gear onwards, you'd got speed of them, you know, which were great.
Which is useful because it had to pull Trevor Nation round.
Yes, it did. Yeah. Trevor set it up very different to me. We'd got Ron Williams as the main chassis guy, you know, designer and everything. Trevor Nation likes it a bit more road bike effect, you know, more soft and type thing.
Well, that was his background, wasn't it? Production racing rather than GPs for you.
Yeah, he liked it that way. Now we're the completely opposite. I didn't want any movement. No. You know, I wanted it to be quite solid. So it was quite different in them ways that way. So yeah, Ron Williams finished up. He designed all the frame and everything for it, and he couldn't believe how hard we had to run it to make it work. Because the rotary engine, it was a bit like electric motor. It doesn't have a four-stroke beat, so it's got a continuous pull, just like electric motor. So it always pulled the back end in, you know, like press the back end down and wouldn't let go of it. So it always, again, your nose steering back end down.
So you can under constant tension.
Yes.
Always driving.
Always driving. And it wasn't a good thing, that wasn't at the time then. So, So I finished up going quite a strong spring with mass amounts of preload to stop it pulling in.
Yeah.
And you could physically, in the paddock, you could sit on it and it would not move. You could bounce on it. Well, you could not break that back suspension, but it worked really well out there. First time we did it, I got 100 mile an hour lap at Alton Park, first ever. Yeah, so my first, I was the first one to do 100 mile an hour lap around Alton Park before all the changes made.
What a great place for a stiff bike.
Yeah, and that was on the Norton, and that's when we first went really ridiculously stiff with it. I did it, and then John Reynolds did it 2 laps later.
Ah,
I pipped him. Yeah, I pipped him to it. Yeah. So yeah, and I think you were on the Kawasaki at the time. I think.
it's another. Yeah, it would have been.
Yeah,
that'd be 92, wouldn't it?
Yeah, on the Kawasaki at the
But
time.
I mean, another project for Chris Mayo to lose sleep over.
Oh yeah, oh Chris.
He never had it easy, did he?
No, he didn't. No, I mean,
He always put heart
it
and
was
soul into
going on to
projects.
something as different as that again. I mean, when they were dynoing, you couldn't believe it. I think one of the exhausts, I didn't see it, but they were telling me that they were dynoing it, and they put a silencer halfway under the bike, so you got the headers, and then into a silencer because it was quite noisy, and then another pipe to another silencer, and then trying to get the weight down, they made the first silencer out of alloy, and that thing, because it doesn't, it keeps continuous and the flame coming down all the while, it melted the silencer. It melted the alloy silencer and dropped it in the bottom. And you couldn't use normal steel for the headers. It had to be stainless.
Yeah.
Because the amount of heat. And when it got run on the dyno, the stainless, you wouldn't believe it, you could see straight through to the side of the engine. It went that hot, it went transparent. Yeah, that's how much heat was going into it. Yeah.
I mean, it was some piece. You can sort of picture the noise now of the Norton.
God, yeah.
It was incredible.
Oh, it was.
Yourself that had ridden it, Robert Dunlop had ridden it, Steve Spray, and as we said, Trevor Nation.
Yeah.
Who else was in there? Not Steve Chambers.
Yeah.
They were the main 4 that I remember anyway.
Yeah, they were. But it was a nice project, very different. As I say, I did enjoy that. And back to England, as I say, once I got over the shock that I probably wasn't the fastest thing out there. I had to work at it. I thought I was coming back and having it easy. I thought, oh no, they don't let you do that. So yeah.
You got a big target on your back.
Yes, no, it was. So I did enjoy that. It pushed me along. That one did.
How many years did you do after that? Because I don't ever.
I did the Norton.
Remember
to be fair, I didn't. I just kept riding bikes. I rode the Triumph 3-cylinder production bike after that. That was serious. And I did a few one-off rides. That were all. Basically, I love racing still, so I just did the ones I liked. Bits and bobs around that.
Nice to be able to choose when you want to race. And one fact that I'd forgotten while I was just doing a little bit of looking up last night before we came down today, that you and Leon, the oldest and youngest riders on the Grand Prix weekend.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, Le Mans, we both ended up in hospital at same beds. So
I didn't know that.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. I was riding for
Sabre
500 twin Sabre. That's it. Yeah, Sabre. And he was on the 250. 125.
He was on the 125.
125. No, 125.
It must have been 17 or 18.
Yeah, you're on the 125. Well, for qualifying, I'd just put a decent lap up and qualified pretty up for Sabre's bike. So it was only the twin again, all the 4 cylinders and that. So I knew I hadn't got a chance of winning, but I thought I've got a chance of getting points. And I qualified. I started to get up there on it, and then I sided myself big time. Like one of the highest eye size I've ever had, and landed it flat on my back. I broke a couple of vertebrae, and that was no major, just it weren't danger to your back or all. But the laugh is I go up and it knocked me out. I woke up in hospital and next to me is Leon. He'd done exactly the same at 125. So we're both in the same hospital at the side of each other. I thought, well, yeah. So yeah, but we did the GPs.
But the great thing is that you've been such a constant companion for Leon. Throughout his career, for everything that he's achieved in World Superbike, in GP, as becoming British Superbike champion 2018. and the difficulties that surrounded 2017, along with working with Dave Hopkinson.
Yeah.
Who's a good friend of ours.
I mean, the best ones on that Suzuki, he got second in the world, nearly won it.
Yeah.
Nearly won. It was so close. Only Biaggi beat him on the last round, and they both went off the track, trying that hard to win. But then Biaggi actually managed to pip him to it. But he got second in the championship. So I really enjoyed it. And I think the biggest thing is, yes, he is my son, so yeah, you do as much as you can. But the effort he puts in, even not being my son, the effort he puts in, I'd still back him.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, if he didn't put the effort in, then no, I wouldn't. And I early on in his career, I was always, wondering, is he doing it for me? Because I do it.
Yeah.
And I did lots of stuff where, he worked for it so hard, it more or less told me that, he's not doing it for me. He wants to do it. He wants to be, what he's doing, and knowing that and how much effort he put in, I got behind him as much as I could, really. Yeah.
And still there as part of the team today.
Yeah, he is now. He's obviously got like about a 10-man team now, and he's self-riding now in British. So, yeah, I'm still digging in, trying to get behind him. I know he's my son, but I still believe he's got it good enough to win yet. And whatever that's happening, yeah, I'll keep digging in.
The other side to you as a racer is helping the younger riders.
It is, yeah. I started a race school up after I'd finished, not finished GPs, after I'd come back from GPs.
Yeah.
Again, what more could you ask for me? I got 20 days in a year at Donington Park with, I think we'd got 120 bikes from 125s all the way through to the 1,000 cc. So I got 20 days in a year actually on the track. What could I want on any bike I want? Happened to be a race school, so then it helped. I could help seeing the road lads come to the track. I think that was a thrill anyway. Half of them come onto the track that's not been on the track before, so they're very nervous and all that. And when they go away, they're so smiling and happy. And I think the biggest thing of it is it was so easy to learn them stuff. It sounds bad this, but there's so much, and I just made different ways of helping them to understand and learn what, how you work a track. And hence what it does as well, it gives you more control for the road anyway. So if you get a problem on the road, at least we don't mean you're going to race around the roads. It just means if you hit a problem, you've got a bit more chance of going out of it.
I was fortunate enough to do 3 or 4 of the race schools with Chris at Express Coffee.
Oh, yeah.
Who looks after you for your hot beverages and looked after the race school as well.
Perfect.
And so well organised, so well put together. I crashed on one, which I apologise for. But the braking markers, everything. This is where Ron brakes. This is where he tips in. This is where he accelerates. Yeah. The thousands of people that have gone through that race school who have taken something away.
Yeah.
Nobody goes to the race school without taking something away.
No, I think it's whether it's wet or dry, it doesn't matter because obviously we're with Hondas and the 600s and the blades have got ABS. So people with ABS don't realise how good it was on the Hondas at the time. You could pull the brake in the wet as hard as you wanted, anywhere you want, and it would be okay. And that was not unheard of. That was unheard of. That would be a crash. So to show road lads that if you're in the wet, you can pull that brake as hard as you want and manoeuvre it. It was massive to them. Something as simple as that. Then we used to do car park work where we used to get the young lads, the motocross lads, and that. Doing stoppies, doing all stuff like this. Again, not the norm thing to do, but you used to get them sitting side saddle on it, sitting there, just so they've got full control of everything, standing up, one hand. Again, it's to have control of what you've got. So a bit unorthodox the way I did it, but it was more learning a lot, having fun.
That's the best way to learn.
That was it. Absolutely
the best way to learn. And I never had the opportunity, but I've a lot of friends have. One of our great friends who supports the show, Craig Lowe, and I think Phil has been on the back of you as well. as doing your pillion laps.
Oh God, yeah.
Around
yeah.
Donington
I used to like them. I did. Yeah, I used to love them. Them. It was good.
Their experiences. Same with the young girl that was going around the TT.
Oh
just
yeah.
nervous, laughing and giggling all the time because going round the outside of slower riders and
I know.
just shoving it up the inside. It's like you were having as much fun as anybody while the race school was on.
I think it's normal when you get, even your club lads or whatever, to get them on the bike and them not being in control, that makes it nervous for them anyway.
Yeah.
And then taking the bike to a safe limit, but pretty good limit. It shows them how good the bike is. So many a time I've had lots of road lads come on the bike and try it, and I've gone sort of reasonable with them, and they've come in and they says, but what you got different on it? What you got different on this bike? Different suspension, you've done this, and I said, done nothing. It is standard. Like that, a standard bike will do that. Like they're amazed, because they all think you've got better brakes, better suspension, better this, tyres. Now they're road tyres. They weren't. There was good tyres, but they weren't no special. Yeah.
That's why a lot of the companies use Billy McConnell, Richard Cooper, people like that as test riders.
Yes,
because they can push the bikes to the limits for the average Joe on the road that's never going to see that level of performance.
Yeah, no,
so they know it's going to be right.
Yeah, no, race school, it was fantastic for me. We did 24 years of it. When we first started it, it was like, well, everybody says it was maximum 3-year project, and it will go dead after about 3 years. That's like your standard stuff. But we worked at it, tried to improve it every year as much as we could. And I say 24 years later, it was like the only thing that stopped us was the COVID job.
Yeah.
It killed it off a bit. But fantastic, really enjoyed it. But again, racers that come to the school just having fun. Everybody, all these lads, Leon's mates, just used to go out there and play and have fun. So it would, and I think, Johnny Ray come loads of times, and when he come to the race school and rode at the race school, because there is no pressure, it was back to how it was when he first started racing. Like instead of having to every time go on a bike and be this. Perfect, you've got to push this, you've got to push that. To actually get on a bike and just play with different, come back to the norm.
Here's a bike, here's a circuit, here's 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Go and have some
We're
fun.
not bothered if you go fast, slow, or whatever, it don't matter.
Wheelies and skis.
Yeah, it don't
Off
matter.
you go.
Just, go out. And like Johnny Ray, Neil, everybody's been there, all the English lot, and they just say, it's fantastic. We're not bothered about sponsors. We're not bothered about this. We're not bothered about setup. We're not bothered about tyres. This is it's a bike. We just go round.
Literally abuse the bike for the morning and give it back.
Yeah,
and your lads fix it, put new tyres on, and away you go.
Yeah, and it was just back to like what you first started racing for. Gosh, you like to ride bikes.
Yeah,
It
was Levi Day and Brad Howell I was out with.
Yeah.
But Brad was my oppo.
Yeah.
Levi was the instructor on the 600s.
Yeah.
And we got some real fast laps in early and managed to do under 2 minutes, which I was I was over the moon with that.
That's brilliant. Yeah,
That's
your first target.
That's first target.
That is
2
the
minutes.
First target. That is.
I think my best was like 1:55, something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
But we went into Coppice. And this is where it showed how little experience I had because I don't really ride on the road. So the only time I got a chance to ride was at your race school with Chris and the team there. So we're going into Coppice and Levi ran a bit deep at the second part.
Yeah.
So he gassed it to pick it up. So I'm busy looking at him going, he's gone deep. He's gone deep. Oh, I've gone deep. Rolled the throttle, loaded the front.
Ooh.
And that was the end of my day.
Done. Yeah, done.
But I think either none or one of the elites passed us.
No.
On that
Brilliant,
first session. So I was over the moon. But not as over the moon as Levi and Brad were because they could just go off and play. Brad being an ex-Stock 1000 rider and Levi being super sport rider.
Cool.
There's only me holding them up.
Yeah.
It was an incredible day. Well, talk to me about James Hayden. Because
James Hayden,
we were sat down with James at the beginning of February and I was saying to Leon when we spoke to him earlier, he said his memories of living here for 2 years and in the canal, in the river, in the locks, and over with the deers at the back and in the fields.
Oh, God, yeah.
It was just the most perfect 2 years for him.
Well, I mean, we'd got, all the riders here when we first got the farm. Basically, they're sleeping in the spare rooms. Mechanic Shep that we had all the time, he was sleeping on the landing on the camp bed. It was like, no posh, just white war, as I say. And James, Nick Hopkins, quite a few of the Irish lot. It was just all fun. We used to, whatever we did, we ran the fields. What you just says, we go down in the canals, in the locks, swimming and stuff. It was just normal, normal stuff. And I think that was it. And they knew that. There was nobody, I don't know, there was nobody like sort of, we don't do this, we don't do that. We just messed about, played with all that. And then the racing was serious, obvious. I think it just worked. They could see us doing the bikes as much as we could here, getting the bikes ready and all that stuff. They helped as much as they could. A bit like when I brought Leon up, he did most of his cleaning of his bikes, and I made him, do most of that stuff. They were the same, even though they were riders and all that, but they just did exactly the same as that. And that was not expected, it was just did. Yeah. That's what happened.
Well, part of that Team GB, wasn't Team Great Britain, wasn't it, that you put together with Honda?
Yeah, it was good, that was.
But James was super talented.
Oh, God, yeah. James, super talented. A bit, I won't say hectic, but I was lucky. When I was a bit like James Hayden when I started. Mal Carter, I was that lucky. Mal Carter didn't matter if you crashed every race as long as you pushed as hard as you think you could. That's all he wanted. Push as hard as you can. Give me 100%, and I'm happy on that. James Hayden was the same. He would never be happy unless he's winning. So he'd always give 100%. Hence, he crashed a lot. Because he always kept wanting to push forward all the time. And as I say, the competition was strong. Each time you went out, go jumping backwards now on Leon. I took Leon through the ranks from club level to nationals to internationals so fast because I got the opportunity. So he never got the chance to be what I call a winner in that class, because before he got anywhere near to the top, I'd moved him up another class. And he had to start again, but it didn't bother him. And James Hayden was saying, he on the 250 class, it was just about getting to the peak of his thing, and then he moved on to a bigger bike, and then he had to start again. So it was always forever having to push yourself way over the limit. And his character was that. Yeah. He will push until he wins, and that's the way it goes. Yeah.
That's the beauty of racing, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
And you're still helping the kids out now with Leon's Academy, and it still continues. The wealth of experience and knowledge that you've got and that Leon has. It's with Ian Hopcroft as team manager as well for the rookies.
Yeah.
Giving that back, does it still give you? It must give you still a huge sense of pride to see the young lads coming through, and lasses coming through.
No, the girls are getting good as well now. Which I shouldn't say it's unusual, but they are going very strong and very fast now. Yeah. Young lads, fantastic. I'm one of these though that I will give them as much advice as I can, but if they believe they want to go a different way, I'll let them go that way. I don't say, I'm not one of these that you have to do this, you have to do that. It's like I always give them advice. Whether they go that way or not, it's up to them. You get some that don't, some that, I won't say they believe no better, but they're not going as quick as what they want to go. So they go off track, basically. And mostly, it sounds bad, it's really them. They just need a bit more experience under them. So I'm not saying they're not going to do it. No. It's just, they just need a bit more experience, but they can't wait. So they go off track a few times.
Nobody's got patience these days.
That's it, yeah. So it's a bit awkward.
It's a different world now, being sort of 16, 17, 18.
Yeah. It is, yeah.
When you were, when I were. They want everything now. And this ain't a sport for that.
They do.
You've got to be patient and learn your trade.
Yeah. Learn it. Find out what needs to be done. Yes, I can shortcut them a lot of knowledge to shortcut them, but they've still got to experience it to make it at its best.
Yeah,
and that's the problem. And it's how they experience whatever we do. This best way to do it, and the best way sometimes that I know is the best. Sometimes they don't believe it. They think no, it's not like any normal young lad. Will say, give me grip on the back end. Give me grip and I'll go faster. Biggest mistake you ever made. Because if you give it grip on the back end...
What's the front doing?
It's going to fire the front out or it's going to fire our side. You're better off not having grip to start with. Getting so you can feel it with a big limit. But they don't like that. Because they know if they put grip, they can go a bit quicker. But once they get to a limit, they'll crash. And they don't know why they crashed. So there's all bits that it's dead hard. Sometimes it's hard to get the young guns to understand, But saying that, not all. We've got some really good lads now, and girls. So we've got some good lads that do listen and that, and they're coming on quite well.
It takes time for that to wheedle itself down, doesn't it? It was always going to take 2 or 3 seasons to understand the ones who do understand where they are with who they are because of what you've done in your history, what Leon's done in his. Yeah, but then for those that go, I understand what it takes to become a professional rider. I will choose that path. Yeah, and the others that go, that looks really difficult. I'm not sure if I've got it.
Yeah.
They love the idea of bike racing.
There is, as you've said, it's hard to say. There is some people that that's not going to get there. No matter what you do to them, you will not get them there. So there is some that's like that. But you always give them the benefit of the doubt. You always keep pushing to see if they can get through it. Then there's others that's push that hard. Or James Hayden push that hard. If anything, what you've got to do them, you've got to slow them off. Because it's like, yes, you're fantastic and you're fast, but lane before. Lane a bit more before you go that far.
But it's like with your parents, same as mine. It was always that walk before you can run.
Yes, exact. Yeah, perfect.
Nowadays, everybody just wants to run everywhere.
They want to run straight away. They're not accept anything else.
Not on these things out there. No. You can't do that.
No.
Speaking of being young and impressionable and everything else, what's the one decision you'd change if you could?
I haven't really got one, to be honest. I had a lot of good opportunities, which I'm dead happy on all that. The Suzuki one I was disappointed in.
Yeah.
I'd like to have changed that. I'd loved another year on that. I believed I could have. At that point, then, I believed I could have got back to winning. There's a chance of me winning the championship. So where you get to the point where you go, I can't do it now. I ain't got quite the bike, or I'm not quite quick enough, or whatever you want to call it. At that point, I was like, I can win this championship now. I've got it. I've got a bike under me. It does do the job. And I say I didn't quite get it. So I think that's the most disappointing one.
And in a complete 180 on that one, what's the one achievement that gives you the most satisfaction?
There's a couple. I think winning the Isle of Man, that was a big one for me. Because it was one of them where I enjoyed racing and it just come and it happened. So the best of all worlds, racing over there without the pressure and then winning it was a big one. Macau GP, I don't know why, the road circuit or whatever, even won that on the Elf. So I went with the Elf there and won it on the Elf. So not being rude, it sounds bad, but it wasn't the bike that won it. I was very confident in myself over there, so that winning that, 6 out of 6 effect. I think them two was the big one. The GPs, I loved it. So when I say one or whatever, I just enjoyed everything I did anyway. The GPs, you get your ups and your downs, obvious. You always think, could I put more effort in? Could I have done more this? Could I have done more that? I don't think I could really. You know, you know, you always think you can now because you know more. You know, as you get older, you get to know more. So you think, God, if I'd just done this, done that. But it's like, it's always the same after.
Knowledge is power.
Yeah, yeah,
It's a lot of that.
So yeah.
With Macau, and I'm sure it was either Reg or Rog that had told me this. Granty always went out there to win. A lot of people went out there for a holiday.
Yes.
But it was you had the same mentality. He's like, I've got a job to do out here.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, to be honest, it was really good what you've just says. Mike Trimby, bless him, is
absolutely
passed. He always invited us, and he invited us as a family, you know, all the family to go out there. So it was a holiday. A couple of times we moved on to Thailand, you know, for a bit further holiday. So Macau come to be a holiday, but I've got to. It sounds bad, not got to. I want to win it, you know. So I want to win it. So first priority, try and win it. Second priority will be have Zoldy after it. So got Zoldy after. Look forward to it. First priority, win it. You know, as I say, Macau. I did it with Honda Britain with a 4-stroke the first time I did it, and it was the first time the 4-stroke could beat the 2-strokes over there. So that was like a big achievement, you know, to beat the 2-stroke. That was GP 2-strokes as well, the Japanese riders. So that was a big one. And then to win it on the Elf. The Elf was sheer luck. Well, not luck. If it had been another lap, I wouldn't have won it. Joey would have beat me. Joey Dunlop. Did all the race quite quick. I'd got the edge on Joey at the point at that time. And I set off, and there was a lap and a half to go, and the bloody handlebar snapped off on the Elf. Yeah, and you won't believe which, throttle and brake one.
No.
Yeah, throttle and brake snapped off. A lap and a half to go. Well, I'd look at them. I'd happened to pull a big lead on Joey. Joey was second. And I pulled quite a big lead. And Serge Rossi, I mean, now the Elf hasn't won much at this point. And it is the Elf, the proper Elf. It's not a factory one. And lap and a half to go, handlebar snapped off. And I can remember then coming to start the last lap. Serge Rossi is hanging over the thing, going, slow down. You know, it's a big thing. The Elf has won one. Well, he didn't realise the handlebar snapped at this point.
Wow.
So I come over and you can imagine trying to ride. It snapped off completely from the clip-on. The throttle's still there, the brake's still there, but it's loose.
It's loose in your hand.
Yeah. I'm having to put my fingers over the top of the brake because I can't twist the throttle. And I'm twisting the throttle with my thumb, rolling it to get my thumb to go. When I pull the brake, I lean on the tank and I have to lean on it to pull it because when you pull the brake, there's no there, so you push that bar if you don't watch it, you know. So I did a lap and a half like that, and but the lap on it was as I crossed starting the last lap, Sage is jumping up in the air, going mad, going slow down, and I can't do no more. I'm slow anyway, you know, like. So I did that lap, and as I crossed the line, Joey passed me, and it was like, did I go it, didn't I go it? It was that close, you know, like. And Sage come to me and he gave me the biggest telling off you've ever known. I didn't mean to slow down that much, and he didn't know yet. He didn't know because what I've done is it's the Elf, so you don't want to get bad publicity. So coming into the pits, I got the handlebar and I stuffed it down the side of the fairing. So like, and I parked it down. There's nobody seen it, and I obviously come across and all that. And as they starting to get me telling off and say, you nearly lost it. You know, you slowed down too much and all this like, and all the press are there and everybody. And I started going towards. I says, Sage, I didn't slow down. He says, what? I says, handlebar snapped off a lap and a half to go. I'm saying it dead quiet, you know, like, because we don't want the press to know the Elf has snapped handlebar, you know. And he says, what? I says, handlebar snapped off. I says, that right? I couldn't do no more. I said, that's as quick as I could go.
Yeah.
You know, like, and he went straight over to the bike. I couldn't believe it. Got the handlebar, picked it up while all the press with it, and says, look here, handlebar snapped and we've still won it. I thought, oh, jeez, I'm trying to, like, calm that bit off, you know, like, you know, so he didn't know. Pardon. But yeah, so I know it was, big achievement for that one again.
That's a massive achievement, isn't it?
Yeah, that was a good one.
I mean, there was something in my mind, you just, the beauty of doing this is I get to sit here and listen to this.
Yeah, I know.
Because it's just fantastic. I mean, obviously, we must remember Roger Burnett was in GPs at the time.
Yes,
well,
he was.
There was 4 of you, not 3 of you.
Yeah.
But that the times that you had with Granty and Reg.
Oh God, yeah.
Roger Burnett,
Again,
Neil, Rob
yes,
Mack.
we were
so
friends,
many.
but was also enemies on the track.
Yeah.
Like that was normal.
Well, you had to be with a Scotsman.
Yeah. Good, gosh, yeah. So no, it was good. Yeah.
I mean, Ron, this has been absolutely brilliant. Just give me one. I have just the patron questions that I have to do. We have a little patron scheme that we have where we have people who join our little club and they can ask questions of the guests.
Yeah.
And because we only realised yesterday that it was all confirmed, I had to put it out quickly last night.
Right.
Let's have a look. I think Mick Strickland has asked the question that I didn't ask because I knew that that Mick had asked this. The first part of his question is, what's next for Ron Haslam? What's next for the Haslam legacy?
I think Leon's probably got another couple of years in him, being honest.
Yeah.
So he's got a couple of more years in him in Superbike. He's trying to build this academy up by young riders, which, damn my street, perfect that is. We're using the farm as a base. So again, like we did in the past, getting everything here, sorting it out. So I think, helping the young riders in racing there, trying to get them in there and see what they can do from there.
So you can bring your first British Superbike champion and get him into world racing.
That's what we're hoping. I say Leon's probably got another 2 years. If we can get another Superbike rider alongside Leon at the same time, what better? Mentor Leon on the track at the same time, me in the background trying to.
Most likely, Eugene McManus.
Could be, yeah. Could be
He's
Eugene.
One Eugene and James are making the.
He's come through really well.
Making the progress well, aren't they?
Pair on them, it's a perfect one there where it's come through the classes. James has come through from the 400s to the 600s. Eugene's gone 600 through. Now he's gone, really strong class now. He's pushing fronts now, pushing rostrums. His next step would be Superbike.
Yeah.
So if that could happen, that would be a good stepping stone.
It proves that the system works.
Yeah.
Gerald Ellis, what have we got? What's left on your bucket list to do?
I think I like technology, to be honest. When you say bucket list, is like I just look for anything that's different as far as my passion is planes. I like flying planes, microlights and stuff like that. So I tend to try and fly to the meetings if I can. So that's a big one that I like trying to do all the while. Things come up like, different things that happen like 3D printing, stuff like that. Knowledge of that, playing with that, so you can do stuff on that. So, yeah, I think... I always think, I need more time though, because what with Leon's stuff and then my stuff as well, so there's never enough time in the day.
No.
But no, I'm quite happy on what looks ahead, with Leon's side, and I've got 2 planes now, not tiny, but I never thought I would even got to fly a plane, sort of in the past I thought no, it's like a bit above me, but now I'm dead happy. I've got a proper pilot's license. So that was a big achievement for me, and as I say, because I've got a farm, I can fly at my own field, so that makes a hell of a difference. Tea time, you can just go, tea time, I think I'll go flying for half an hour. Just walk down to the field, jump in the plane and fly off. Perfect. So it's like, to be fair, no, it's fantastic.
It's a good life, isn't it? It's a good life. Maggie Day. How do you see the racing influences on bike manufacturers developing in the future as far as sales are concerned, and the other way round? So the influence from racing to sales now, especially with sports bikes, I guess, as they're kind of on the wane a little bit.
Yeah.
But are the influences still there, both to go racing and to sell bikes?
It is, yeah. The manufacturers still put a lot on it, They put a lot on the actual, the racing side. The only bad bit is you've got to win to get the influence. That's the problem. Seconds and thirds don't work. So each manufacturer's now trying to get their own class that they can win. As they always have. But I think that's one of the biggest hard ones at the moment. And at this time, I shouldn't say it at the moment. At this time, Ducati's been leading the side of it at the moment. Trouble with the Ducati is, as everybody knows, they're quite expensive. Honda always used to go on solid reliability. They've had to go a bit more, I'll call it Ducati way, where speed is everything, lasting's not. Like where Honda used to be the other way around.
Yeah.
So they're all going now for I would say the fastest, nicest looking bike. And the racing side, the again, it's all it's hard really. The top level's no problem, but when you start getting to the lower level, the biggest thing for factories are where they used to do everything in-house on the factories like Honda and all that, they are now shipping it out because it's cheaper.
Yeah.
Basically. And they can't keep up with the other manufacturers because that's what they're doing. They can sell them cheaper, because they are shipping it out.
Exactly.
Which sometimes you don't get as good a quality.
No.
But all the manufacturers are going that way now. They've got to, because otherwise they'll get left behind on the price, the price race.
And it's expensive enough as it is.
It is, yeah. That's
the secret.
So I still think the racing's got a big influence on it. It's more going, call it production now, because the production sports bike is so close to the absolute bike. Now they're making road bikes nearly full-blown race bikes. So there's a lot of classes going the production area. Which again for manufacturers is better.
Of course it is. Yeah. It is still that the theory of win on Sunday, sell on Monday. That doesn't go away.
No,
even though there's smaller numbers, the theory is still the same.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. So no.
Last two questions. First question is in two parts. Of all the tracks you've raced, of all the races you've done, what was your favourite corner and why?
Favourite corner, Cadwell Park. I should say Donington because I've done more laps there, But Cadwell, because I think I got brought up racing there, to start with. I was used to like the Mansfield. It's a left-hander downhill. I don't know. I think I'm saying this because I can always remember Mansfield down the hill. I don't care who it is, I'm passing them. I got so much confidence into that corner. It was my favourite. And I found it dead easy to do, and actually I think I only crashed on it once, so it was like...
Which for Mansfield is decent because a lot of people...
And that was downhill and I locked the brakes, so So...
Relying on that front end.
I would say Cadwell Park, Mansfield would be the... but Donington's a close one because I've done that much mileage there.
Absolutely.
I know every corner at Donington like back of my hand, basically, so yeah.
And the very last question that we ask every first-time guest on the show, what's your best hire car story?
Best?
Hire car story.
Hire car. That would be in America, and that would be Randy Mamola. At the times, then, obviously, a bit more wilder times, is Steve Parrish, Randy Mamola, and all them used to see if they could wreck the hire cars, basically. The stories on that side is, my story is, I'm sat at traffic lights, there's me and sitting there, and I had one of these big Yankee big cars and all that, automatics. I'm sitting there, double lanes and all that stuff. Next minute, lights are on red. I'm getting pushed through the lights from behind. Like physically, I'm on the brakes and it's being pushed from behind. And I look behind, and who it is, it's Randy Mamola in an hire car, laughing his head off. Just buttered up to me and he's pushing me through. There's an American bloke that's nothing to do with Ode at side of us, looking at us gone. He's looking at gone, This car's trying to push me through lights, I then slammed it into reverse because it's automatic, and I'm spinning the wheels trying to push him back. So he's nearly got me through lights. So there's me pushing back, he's pushing forward. This bloke at the side, it's on red, so he's just standing looking, and he can't believe what's going off. It's like, oh, shit. He wanted to get away from us. Really, the smoke puthering off everything. And oh god, yeah. So no, that was the biggest eye thing. And then that same week, Steve Parrish decided to, in his big hire car, the beach was got like an uphill ramp, and then it went down onto the sand, the beach. He hit it that fast where you're not supposed to, and jumped onto the beach with his hire car. But jumping onto his beach, he knocked the sump off.
Oh no!
On a thing, landed on the sand, and he landed that far. He landed nearly to the water, and the tide's out, isn't it? All he did is just jump down, and left it. Tide come in, and that it flooded it in. Yeah. So, oh god, yeah. There's some
There's some tales there.
There's so many tales on the hire cars, but they were the two that really made you laugh.
The two that stand out.
Funniest ones out that one.
Brilliant. Again, thank you to our patrons for dropping the questions in. The link's in the description below if you want to join the Patreon scheme, also for merchandise and everything else. Ron, thank you.
No problem.
What an absolute pleasure.
Thank you.
Really enjoyed that. Thank you for your time. I know it's so busy on the farm, but
it's all right. No problem.
Much appreciated. Ladies and gentlemen, Ron Haslam.
Thank you.